Hello, it's the gnome again, and this is the second part about the Cuckoo Pool, this wonderfully secret place in Nowhereshire where Leney commons are thriving. I'm going to give you a few more memories of the place, share them with you and enjoy reminiscing. On another occasion at the pool, I noticed how the carp were far out but eager to take very large pieces of crust which had floated out, and casting very large pieces of crust using my AKN 116 Nash Stalker, which is 11'6" rod despite the name. I was able to get out there and capture some lovely carp to just under 16 pounds. And I noticed how they were so eager to take the bait. The bait itself became almost an anti-ejection rig. You could see them gulping down these huge pieces of bread 30-40 yards out, the gills flaring and to get it down. And so once they started to move off, you knew pretty well that the hook would be set. Except once. I was fishing just round the corner from where we set up the bivvies, and a very large common took a piece of crust, and to this day I don't know why I missed or how I missed. I would say it was at least 25 pounds, which is, even in this day and age, is quite a large common. The line was slithering across the surface, everything was fine, and I struck into thin air, and the fish didn't panic, it just swam off, and I never saw it again. But I have been back since, and also done quite well. Only this September I had a day by myself, 2 days by myself to be correct, on the pool, and it was a little spooky being in the middle of nowhere without lights or amenities or anything like that. I thoroughly enjoyed myself. The first day I blanked. I was getting used to the pool again. I could see large fish cruising in front of the island. One of them I'd estimate getting on for 36 inches long. But I noticed that at the corner of the pool where you walk on, where there's a kind of grassy reed bed stretching maybe 50 yards along that bank, carp was starting to jump. So on the second day, as evening fell, I set up a float rig with luncheon meat, braid hook link as recommended by Rod Hutchinson in Carp Inspirations, the float cocking by a piece of tungsten putty, and fishing probably no more than a rod length out, or perhaps a little more than that, I managed to get a float in the vicinity of feeding carp. I noticed this big crescent moon rising above me. It was fantastic, one of the biggest crescent moons I've ever seen, and the sky coloured with its light, the clouds shining back. It was so atmospheric to see that rise above the pool. And then in the fading light I noticed fin patterns around my float, and the float went under, and it was a 6 pound 7 ounce Leney common, which despite its modest size put up quite a fight, bending my alpha carp, a glass fibre rod from the late 70s, bending it really to the corks. And I got into my nice oval net, and I thought, well, I'm grateful, Paul, thank you very much. 2 days, 1 fish, that's alright. But I cast out again, and the float, which was a waggler, went again. By then I'd got a little night float attachment on top of the float, so I could see more clearly, and it was a very, very, very slow bite, and I struck, and there was a bow wave near the, obviously the fish was near the surface, shot out, and I knew this was a much larger fish, and it was a devil to get that fish out. I had to move to the right, the rod bending, and just to keep it from the reeds, because I knew if it got in there I probably wouldn't get it out. And then I had the problem of netting it So I inched forward to where there'd been some cut off trees, and balancing on just the boles of the trees with my little oval net, well, little, 32 inches, I managed to draw the fish into more open water where it circled and pulled and kept on making dashes towards the reeds. And eventually I was able to get it in the net, that I realised that this was something quite special and beautiful. It almost filled the net. So I lifted it, got it to the net, got it to the unhooking mat, and when I weighed it, it was 18 pound 14 ounces. Not the 20 pounder I thought it was, but it was a fantastic fish, beautifully golden with autumn's colours, and evidence of what this pool might contain. Well, only this weekend just gone, I fished the pool again with Nigel and Terry Christie, another friend keen on traditional carping. But what happened, I shall leave for another day. Thank you.